All right, guys. So big waves out there. Happy Wednesday, happy Wednesday, happy Wednesday. I love Wednesdays because I get to see you guys a couple of times on Wednesday. But today should be a good one because this is Misty McDaniel's word of the year. So we'll start with that. But I also want to see, we've got a couple of birthday girls out there. So I don't see either of them yet, but if you guys see Summer Simon out on the interwebs today, or maybe even in real life, wish her a very happy birthday. And then also Penny Ogle. So both of them have a birthday today, so give them some love out in the world. And if they jump on, we'll sing to them. Otherwise, I'll let you guys have a day away from my voice on that. um, but the word today comes from Misty. And the word is focus. And I felt like that today would be a good day to look at some focus because I sure could use it. I don't know if you guys know, but I'm about to head out a little bit of a cold, so you can hear it. But I'm about to head out with my daughter. We're going all over Europe and, trying to get yourself in everything in order. And we're also trying to do this in just a carry-on bag. And we'll be gone for about 3 weeks. And then I literally go from there directly to Salt Lake City. Um, and so I don't know how I'm going to pack for this and make it work. My daughter did it yesterday in literally a backpack. So, but she's this big, so her clothes are a little smaller too. So that's not fair to compare. But we'll see. This is going to be an interesting adventure, and I'm feeling very scattered, very grateful, but very scattered. So I'm so grateful for the word today of focus because I could sure use a little bit of it right now. So we're going to focus in on here. So, what is focus? It's the center of interest or activity. It's the state or quality of having or producing clear visual definition. Hold on, I can't read my notes. I got to zoom in a little bit. Something that you're paying particular attention to. And a couple of quotes were always remember your focus determines your reality. And then I like this one. Is that an acronym where you kind of break down a word? Um, oh, okay, I got it. So follow one course until success. So that is a great way to use focus. But every single one of us can get distracted and off track. Like I cannot be the only one with this experience where I'm running along, everything's good, and then squirrel, sometimes literally, and I am off, going in completely the wrong direction. And we can have that shiny object syndrome. We can see this a lot actually in our business. And so people will get started, they get excited, and then they get a shiny object. They see it and they completely, maybe they switch companies because that object seems a little bit shinier. And then they realize, oh man, the grass wasn't necessarily greener, but it happens to all of us. The normal daily distractions of the laundry and the grocery shopping and the dishes and the whatever the task may be they're urgent in that moment, but they're not necessarily priorities overall in life. And then this can be a big one. One way that we can really lose our focus is other people's priorities. And we see this all the time where you get a text message, right? Your phone does its little thing and you stop what you're doing and you turn over. And since you saw it, it's urgent, right? And you can completely get distracted, lose your focus on what you're working on. And we're in such a now society that people don't necessarily want to wait for your response, which reminds me of Marie. You sent me a text yesterday, and I will respond and get you your answer. I had to look it up, so I will get that information for you. But anyway, that was a good reminder. So another quote that I found was, "You get what you focus on." So focus on what you want. And I think about, let's think about finances. Have you ever focused on your debt before? Where you're like, okay, I'm going to be debt free, debt free, debt free, but really you're focusing on debt, debt, debt. And maybe in that you're kind of digging yourself in a bigger hole because you're focusing in the wrong direction. Even though the end goal is a good one, It's kind of like praying for patience, as we were talking about in the chat yesterday with Valerie. So instead, if you focus on, let's say, financial freedom, then you're naturally going to chip away at that debt, and you're naturally going to grow your investments, and you're naturally going to move yourself in the right way. But we want to focus on what we want. So how do we do that? So that's what I looked into. It's like, okay, I've got all these wants, all these things running around my head. How do I narrow it down? How do I find the most important thing? How do I focus there? So first of all, I've got to imagine myself in the future and figure out what I want it to look like. So we can go to my scenario. I want to have imaginary grandbabies. Then I hope they're real, but I want to have grandbabies that I'm healthy enough to be able to get down on the ground. I watch my sister with her grandson, and like he is busy and she is moving, but she's got to be moving on the ground. So I got to be able to get down, I got to be able to get up, I got to be able to do all those things. And then I want to travel around the entire world in just that carry-on bag. So I've got to have the strength to lift it overhead. So if that's what my future looks like, well, then I've got to do some things today to make that possible, at least the things that I can control. But who do I want sitting next to me? Right? Do I want to have an incredibly strong, beautiful relationship? Well, then right now I've got to focus on breathing life into it. And it's not something that's just going to magically appear, maybe 20 years from now or whatever that looks like. Where do I want to live? Right? Do I want it to be green and lush, or do I want it to be snowy, or maybe do I want it to be blue and wavy, right? With the ocean view? I don't know, but I've got to figure out where I want to be. What does my retirement account look like? Am I taken care of? Are my kids taken care of? Maybe are my grandkids taken care of? What does that look like? What accomplishments do I want in the rearview mirror? Like, what things do I want to have achieved, and how healthy am I? What does my body feel like? And if it's not, this is one that always cracks me up, because I'm like, well, I can't do it today. So what makes me think I'm going to be able to do it tomorrow if I don't do something pretty significant to change in my health at this exact moment? And by figuring out that future, that's going to allow us to detail my values and figure out what's truly important to me. So when I look at my family and my health and my integrity and my security and my community and helping others, all of that, when I'm picturing my future, well, what I'm figuring out is what I really want to focus on, right? What's truly important. So if I want to have this beautiful church family, well, I better be getting there on Sundays and forging those relationships right now so that I have that in my future. And then when I need to concentrate the most, I have to remove my distractions. And so that was kind of and this will be a short one today. It's hard to fill this up when coach isn't here to, bring all the good value. But so where I'm going to show is, how do we concentrate? How do we truly focus when let's say we're sitting down and it's time for us to work? So we've talked about this before, but feed the beast. So deal with all the things that are maybe not super important, but they're super urgent, right? Your dog, I actually have a dog right here that's reminding me that I haven't given him his breakfast yet. So he's literally sitting next to me whining and trying to distract me, but it's not going to work, Max. And so with that, we might have to literally feed our dogs, feed our kids, feed ourselves, do all the little things that are going to be a distraction if we don't take care of them right away. I've got to make sure that I get enough sleep, because if I'm not recovering from the day before, my brain is not going to be sharp so that I can focus on the tasks at hand. I've got to set a timer. And this one, I think, really helps me. Again, it reminds me of Ashley Paulson. And Ashley, you got to tell us if you still even do this, but she really would break down her day into these 15-minute action items, and that allows you to be so much more productive. So if I sit down and say, okay, I'm going to concentrate for 2 hours, I drink a lot of water. So I know that means I'm going to get up 14 times and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But if I give myself, okay, for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to do the things on my list, well, I'm going to get a lot more done in those 15 minutes. Then I can, run to the restroom if I need to, but then I'll go back to my next 15-minute block. But when we set that timer, it's incredible the power of racing the clock to get things done, what that does for us. Be mindful. So when I'm looking at that priority list and I'm looking at what's truly important and I go look at my to-do list, I'm going to be mindful. So there's going to be things on there that really don't matter. Like I love a good to-do list, and sometimes I jot things down just so I know I'm going to get that done tomorrow and I'm going to get that dopamine fix that I'm going to mark it off. But when I look at that list, I want to be mindful of what is really going to move the needle for me. So maybe I really want to call Marlene and chit chat. I'm like, I read this new book and I think you're going to love it. And we could, talk book recommendations, and it might do my heart good. So maybe if that's my focus, I should probably do that. But if I'm working on maybe moving the needle of my business, maybe I save that call for Sunday. And today the calls that I make are purely business focused, but I'm going to be mindful as I'm checking off the items on my list. And then I'm going to end with this, even though it's kind of a gross one, but it's a book title, so don't judge me. And it's Eat That Frog. Do the worst thing first. And so if there's something, and I'll tell you, for me, this is outbound calls. I'm a little shy. That feels a lot of pressure for me to do that. And it's a little intimidating, but I know that it's a huge way that I can grow my business, right? So I'm going to do that my first chunk of the day, because guess what I do the rest of the day then? If I do it first, then I breathe a sigh of relief and I skip through all the other items, right? If I exercise first, and that was the hardest thing I was going to do that day, well, then I'm accomplished and the rest of the day is kind of all downhill, all easy peasy from there. But if I don't, then it looms in front of me and it's really hard to focus. You ever have a paper due that you put off and put off and put off because you're intimidated by it? And then it uses all of your mental space. You don't get anything else done. And then you still got to do the dang paper at the end. So eat the frog, do the worst thing first so that you can enjoy the rest of your day and get to it successfully. So that's what I had for you guys this morning. Send a little happy prayer out for the Palmer family, Coaches with his dad. And I think that's a big gift of what we do, is that when our family needs us, we get to be there and, be present in all of that, but give him some love out there. And I don't see Summer or Penny on. And so love them on the internet, send them a happy birthday text, all of that good stuff. But thank you guys for being here today. Love you guys and have a beautiful Wednesday.
God bless you, Andrea.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you so much, Andrea.
Andrea, love you.
Compliment.
Andrea.
Very Andrea, as always.
Bye.
Love you.
Love you, Carl.